Hey guys, this is Utah Raptor 1987 here, and for today's video, I'm going to be discussing my thoughts and opinions on the Jurassic Park franchise to celebrate Jurassic June, as well as Jurassic Park's 30th anniversary. But before we begin, I just want to make it clear that I will only be talking about the Jurassic Park films. So, therefore, I will not be discussing Battle at Big Rock or Camp Cretaceous or any of the original Michael Crichton novels or any of the Lego spin-off series or any of the video games and whatnot. So, with that out of the way, let us begin. Jurassic Park, 1993. What is there to say about the original Jurassic Park that hasn't been said already? This film is a cinematic masterpiece. The film is about a rich businessman by the name of John Hammond who invites some scientists to come to his private island where he plans to open a theme park full of dinosaurs. However, due to corporate sabotage and a nasty storm hitting the island, all the dinosaurs break out of their paddocks and wreak havoc on the island, and our main characters have to struggle for survival and try to find a way to make it off the island. All of the characters in Jurassic Park are all very charming and likable, with some of them having the most iconic quotes in cinematic history. And my favorite character in Jurassic Park is definitely, without a doubt, Dr. Alan Grant. My favorite scenes in Jurassic Park are the ones that brought me a sense of awe and wonder, like the scenes with the Brachiosaurus and the sick Triceratops, as well as the scenes that brought me a sense of terror and suspense, like with the T-Rex breakout scene or the raptors in the kitchen. I thought those scenes were just absolutely phenomenal. I think John Williams did a fantastic job with the soundtrack of this film. It is just absolutely amazing. The practical and special effects for this film were just absolutely incredible. And they made the dinosaurs in the film feel like they were actual living, breathing animals. Jurassic Park also helped change our perception of what we thought dinosaurs looked and acted like, from being slow, clumsy, reptilian giants to being fast, agile, intelligent, and warm-blooded animals. Jurassic Park has some of the best and most scientifically accurate dinosaur designs out of any film. Well, for its time. Obviously, a lot has changed over the years, and our current understanding of what dinosaurs looked like is a lot different from what we saw in Jurassic Park. The only issue I have with this film is when Rexy was able to step out of her paddock with ease during the breakout scene, but then a few minutes later, her enclosure now has a 40-foot drop. But that's only just a minor nitpick. Overall, I give this film a 10 out of 10. It is a cinematic masterpiece. The Lost World Jurassic Park, 1997. This is by far the best sequel out of the entire Jurassic Park franchise. The film is about a team of researchers who have been sent by John Hammond to Isla Sorna so that they can study and document the dinosaurs. However, John Hammond's nephew, Peter Ludlow, has taken over InGen and plans on capturing the dinosaurs so that he can open up a new Jurassic Park in San Diego. But when the dinosaurs decide to run amok, both sides decide to work together to try to find a way to make it off the island. This movie is action-packed, with some of the best scenes in the movie being InGen hunting the dinosaurs, the cliff scene, the long grass scene, and the T-Rex rampaging through San Diego. Most of the main characters in this film are pretty likable, especially Dr. Sarah Harding and Roland Tembo. And it was nice to see Dr. Ian Malcolm, John Hammond, and Lex and Tim make a return as well. The practical and special effects for this movie are just as amazing as they were in the original movie. And they used a lot of animatronics in this movie. The only nitpick I have with this movie is it was never explained how the crewmates of the ship that was carrying the T-Rex to San Diego died. It couldn't have been the T-Rex because he was tranquilized the whole time. So, how did they die? Overall, I give this movie a 9 out of 10. It's not as good as the original movie, but it's still pretty enjoyable to watch. Jurassic Park 3, 2001. This is probably the weakest movie of the franchise. The film is about a divorced couple who bring Alan Grant along with them to Isla Sorna to help look for their missing son. However, a pack of raptors and a Spinosaurus are constantly stalking them, so the group has to work together so that they don't become Dino Chow. Out of all the Jurassic Park movies, this film has the shortest runtime for some reason, where most of the other films were a little over 2 hours long. Jurassic Park 3 is only an hour and a half long, and I think that's kinda strange. This film definitely has its fair share of issues. For starters, the plot feels very lackluster. Another issue I have with this film is that Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sattler aren't together in this film. Instead, Ellie's married to some guy named Mark. Like, seriously, that has gotta be one of the stupidest decisions the filmmakers have ever made. Another problem I have with this film is that during the beginning of the film, a group of people on a boat were attacked by some creature, but the film never shows what attacked them. Was it a flock of pteranodons, or a Spinosaurus, or maybe even a Mosasaurus? Who knows? The film never shows what attacked them, and it's never brought up again later in the film. Most of the new main characters in this movie are either bland or annoying. Especially Amanda Kirby, who won't stop screaming all the time. And I really did not like how the Spinosaurus replaced the T-Rex as the new main threat for this film. Especially in that one infamous scene that split the Jurassic Park fan community apart. Also, this has gotta be the only film in the franchise that doesn't have an antagonist for some reason. Well, other than the Spinosaurus, of course. There's no poacher that's trying to kill or exploit all the dinosaurs. There's no greedy, evil corporation that's trying to take over the island. It's just the Spinosaurus. I know I've been kinda nitpicky about Jurassic Park 3, but it's not like this film is completely bad. I mean, Dr. Alan Grant is still the best main character in this film. The special and practical effects are still pretty good, and I really like the Raptor's new design in this film. Overall, I give this film a 5 out of 10. I don't necessarily hate this movie, it's just my least favorite movie out of the franchise. Jurassic World, 2015. After a 14-year-long hiatus from the last film, we finally got another Jurassic Park movie, and it did not disappoint. The film is about a fully functioning dinosaur theme park, now under the name Jurassic World, that has been open to the public for about 10 years. However, a new hybrid dinosaur called the Indominus Rex breaks out of her paddock and wreaks havoc on the park, and it's up to our main characters to try to stop it. This movie had a lot of new ideas. For starters, it answers the question, what if Jurassic Park had actually become a fully functioning theme park? And I thought that was pretty cool. And I thought it was cool that they showed all the different attractions in Jurassic World, like the T-Rex Kingdom, the Petting Zoo, the Mosasaurus Lagoon, and the Gyrosphere Valley. I also really liked the movie's idea of trained raptors. Although these raptors were hand-raised in captivity, they weren't completely tame, and they could still turn on their caretakers if they felt like it. I also really like the Indominus Rex in this movie, although I feel like the design of this creature could have been a bit more creative. The movie makes up for that by giving it special abilities, such as thermal invisibility, infrared vision, camouflage, and being able to communicate with raptors. This movie also has a lot of great scenes in it, such as the pterosaur attack on Main Street, Owen Grady riding his motorcycle through the jungle with his raptor squad, and of course, the climax. Most of the characters in this film were decent. My favorite character in Jurassic World would probably have to be Owen Grady. I really liked him and his relationship with his raptor squad. The only minor issues I have with this film are this movie uses way too much CGI. They hardly ever use any animatronics for the dinosaurs. The only time they ever used an animatronic for this film was for the dying Apatosaurus scene. This movie barely has any returning characters as well. The only characters from the original movie that reprised their role for Jurassic World were Dr. Henry Wu, Rexy, and Mr. DNA. Overall, I give this film an 8 out of 10. It wasn't as good as the original Jurassic Park, but it was still pretty good in my opinion. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, 2018. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this movie, but for me personally, I just think it's okay. The film takes place 3 years after Jurassic World was evacuated, and the island's resident volcano, Mount Sibo, has suddenly become active and threatens to kill off all the dinosaurs, so it's up to our main characters to try to save them. This movie has a much darker tone compared to the other films of the franchise, as we see Isla Nublar, the island from which this series started, being destroyed. And there are certainly a lot of dark and depressing moments in this film, with one of them being the Brachiosaurus death scene. Most of the characters in this film were okay. I really liked Claire's redemption arc where she changes from being a stuck-up operations manager from the last movie to being an animal rights activist in this movie. It was nice to see Owen further develop his relationship with Blue in this movie, and it was nice to see Dr. Ian Malcolm make a return. It was also really nice to see some new dinosaurs in this film that we've been wanting to see in this franchise for quite some time, such as Carnotaurus, Allosaurus, Baryonyx, even though that design looks like crap, Sinoceratops, even though that design also looks like crap, and Stygimoloch, even though that one is now considered a dubious genus. One thing that this movie did better than the previous movie was using more animatronics. There was an animatronic for the Stegosaurus, Rexy, Blue, and even the Indoraptor. There were a few scenes in the movie that I thought were pretty cool, like the fight between Blue and the Indoraptor, and the scene where Claire and Owen try to get a blood sample from Rexy. I know I've been praising this movie a lot, but it does have its fair share of issues. For starters, some of the characters in this film are either bland or annoying, especially Franklin Webb and his obnoxious high-pitched scream. There was also a scene in the movie where Owen Grady got caught in a pyroclastic flow and somehow survived. Do the filmmakers not know how hot pyroclastic flows are? He should have been burned to a crisp. I also think that the Indoraptor in this movie is kind of pointless. Although I really like the design of this creature and the haunting choir music that accompanies it, I feel like it's trying to convey the same message as the Indominus Rex about the dangers of hybridizing dinosaurs. The whole plot twist near the end of the film that revealed that Maisie Lockwood was a clone has gotta be one of the most ridiculous decisions the filmmakers have ever made. And another dumb decision that this movie made was having Maisie let all of the dinosaurs loose on the mainland, because there are serious consequences involved in this. Every human casualty caused by a dinosaur will be all because of her foolish actions. I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't want the dinosaurs to have died from all the toxic gas that was filling up in the room. But why couldn't the filmmakers just have the dinosaurs break down the gate so that they could escape on their own? Overall, I give this movie a 6 out of 10. It's not the worst movie in the franchise, but it's not the best either. Jurassic World Dominion, 2022. This movie had everything I wanted in a Jurassic Park sequel. Well, almost. The film takes place 4 years after the events of the previous movie, and the dinosaurs have spread all across the world. And Maisie, along with Blue's offspring Beta, have been taken by Biosyn, and it's up to our main characters to try to rescue them. Most of the characters in this film were pretty good. It was really interesting to see Claire and Owen acting as Maisie's guardians. And some of the newer characters were pretty cool, such as Kayla Watts, Rain Delacourt, and Soyona Santos. But of course, who could forget the return of Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm? It was very nice to see them reprise their roles for this film, and it made me very happy to see Alan and Ellie get together at the end. This movie also made a huge milestone for the franchise by including fully feathered dinosaurs, such as the Pyroraptor, Moros intrepidus, Oviraptor, Therizinosaurus, and Quetzalcoatlus, even though that last one technically isn't a dinosaur. There were also a lot of great scenes in this film, such as the Malta Black Market sequence, the introduction of the Therizinosaurus, the return of Dilophosaurus, and the final battle towards the end. I would rate this movie higher than some of the other films on this list, but there are a few issues this movie has that places it lower on the roster. For starters, the dinosaurs aren't even the main focus of this movie. Instead, the main focus are giant locusts. Although I think that's kind of an interesting idea, the locusts take up way too much screen time in this film. Maisie is pretty unlikable in this movie as well. She just whines and complains about having to stay at home, even though the reason why she has to go into hiding is because she's the one responsible for letting the dinosaurs loose. That just makes no sense to me. I feel like Lewis Dodgson's actor Campbell Scott's acting felt a little clunky in this film. I also think that the Giganotosaurus is kind of an underwhelming antagonist. It doesn't kill anyone, all it just does is slink around and look menacing. Also, while we're on the subject here, I for one am not a big fan of the Giganotosaurus's design in this film. I mean, sure, it looks intimidating, but at the same time, it just looks off. For starters, the head shape is just completely wrong. And those giant spikes on its back make it look like a knockoff Godzilla. Overall, I give this film a 7.5 out of 10. It could have been better, but I still think it's a pretty solid film. And there you have it, folks. Those were my thoughts and opinions on the Jurassic Park franchise. Jurassic Park will always be one of the greatest film franchises of all time. I mean, sure, not all of their films are perfect, but they're still pretty fun to watch. And if you like these movies, that's totally fine with me. And if you don't like them, then that's also fine with me. These were just my personal opinions. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!